What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zro here, and today, guys, I am bringing you another episode of my podcast. And in today's podcast, guys, it is going to be episode number 3. So we're in season 1, episode 3, guys. Very exciting that this podcast is now really rolling here, and I'm loving it, guys. So you guys can expect these podcasts once every week. So I'm really excited to get into this one today with all of you. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about eSports, of course. Nothing really too new, but we're talking about, what is eSports? And this is kind of going to be almost like eSports for dummies, or what is eSports for someone who is completely new to the scene, someone who's interested in getting involved in the scene, or even experienced people, just to kind of like a refresher almost of like some of the ins and outs of esports. So what is esports, guys? Well, esports is electronic sports. Essentially, it's professional video gaming, and it's playing a video game at a very high level. So it's basically a sport, but it's just in an electronic way, or in like a gaming based way. So a lot of people kind of made these assumptions, and a lot of people really out there just decided to really discredit esports as even a sport. Is this a traditional sport? Is it not? Or whatever the case might be. But one of those things, guys, is I'm obviously here to obviously inform all of you about things that are happening, not only in my own personal life, but also with Major and with other esports, just esports in general. I can't speak for all teams, but I can definitely speak for Major. And I can definitely tell you guys that over the course of the years I've been involved in the community and esports and just video gaming in general, I can tell you that this is a very real sport. And we'll kind of get into that a little bit here. We'll kind of dive into it and we'll explain it. But like I said, this is, what is esports for dummies? So basically, guys, like I said, electronic sports. It's professional video gaming. It's a lot more complicated than just all of that, but essentially, from the surface, that is what it is. It is professional video gaming players. A lot of people out there who just don't have the natural talents like a LeBron James or a Tom Brady in football or something. This is a place where anyone can go, and if you put in the time, the effort, and if you have some natural talent, you can become a professional video gamer or a professional esports player, playing for an organization or playing by yourself, depending on what game it is that you're in and what team you would possibly want to become a part of. But it is a very real thing, guys. Professional video gaming, yes, electronic sports, and it is. Let's just put it this way: it is the newest sport, the kind of that newest avenue of sport, and it could be the fastest growing and the biggest in the world in a matter of a few more years. I've kind of had this idea in my head, or this thought, that video games and just esports in general is going to be the biggest sport in all of sports. It is going to be the biggest. And the reason why, guys, and I think the reason why a lot of people do not give a lot of credit to esports, and they kind of make it sound like, oh, it's not a real sport because you're just sitting there and you're typing on a keyboard, or you're using your thumbs for a controller, with a controller. It's one of those things. A lot of people just don't really they don't really see beyond what the people who are in the video game industry and people who are in esports really like, what it really does take. It's a lot of dedication. It is a lot of time that these people put in, these players put in, these organizations, everything that goes on. It is a lot of people feel that it's up for debate that this is an actual sport, or it's not a sport. Because when you look at sports, you look at these guys who, runners, or you look at, people in the NBA. Of course, they always run and they shoot and they have a lot of precision. I feel that it's the same sort of idea in just a different way with esports. I mean, you look at Call of Duty, for example. Somebody has to be very good and very, precise when they're, aiming down their sights, and while they're moving at the same time. It takes a lot of, memory, muscle memory, like within your mind, and while you're playing. And then communication is such a huge thing when you're playing with your teammates. It's a lot more than what I think a lot of people really give it credit. And I think people out there don't give esports enough credit whatsoever. Now, there's people within the esports realm that obviously give it a lot of credit, and they say it is the next big thing when it comes to sports. I mean, you look at like a sport like lacrosse. So lacrosse has not been around for that long, if you really think about it, and it's really been on this rise, this real come up. A lot of people are getting involved in lacrosse, and it's a growing sport. Esports, in my opinion, I think is on another level. I think it's going to be so massive in the next, few years. I mean, it already is huge, but I'm saying within the next 5 to 10 years, guys, esports will be the biggest sport in all of the world. And I truly believe that. And here's a couple of big things about esports where I would love to see esports go, moving forward here. So esports, guys, for those of you who don't know, there's this real obviously there's a huge competitive level to esports, and I think a lot of people don't really realize all that kind of goes on behind the scenes. And we're not going to really get into all of that because obviously this podcast is about, what is esports for dummies, essentially, or for people who just aren't really involved. So esports, I mean, there's multiple different games when it comes to esports. It's not just, like the NBA where it's, it's basketball or football. You see, esports, it's video games, but it's multiple different genres of video games. It could be, NBA 2K. It could be Madden, NFL. It could be Call of Duty or Halo. It's a mixed genre, and that makes esports so much fun and so exciting, in my opinion, because there's so many different games. It can really reach out to so many different kinds of people out there, and that's why I think gaming is really going to be the biggest sport out there in the world, in the next 5 to 10 years. But basically what happens is when you're playing, these video games, a lot of people just play them as kind of just a passion, something that they really enjoyed, and then they turned it into a way that they could start making money, whether it was on YouTube or it was on Twitch more recently, or other ways. And actual organizations were able to really tap into this market because they created these teams, and they had these clans, and they would be people who were all kind of like had the same passion, same motive, same drive, and then they started realizing, oh wow, we can actually start making some money off of this, and they're having these tournaments for these different games. So like Call of Duty's having $1,000 prize pool, and so our team can compete in it. We just got to pitch in like $5 per person or something to get in on this. And then there were sponsors that started getting involved, and those sponsors ended up helping, these teams being able to, they were able to branch out to other games. And it wasn't just like they were in one particular esport title, they were in multiple. So it just really evolved over time, and it's become this massive phenomenon. And I wonder really where's the roof on this? Where does it kind of like, where's the cap, I guess you could say? Where does this end, and where does the growth really kind of cease? And I think, guys, that the growth can just continue. I mean, I think it's not going to be quite as rapid as it has been now in the past couple of years, but I think it's going to, be steady, and it's gonna stay steady, and it's up to us to really make sure that esports continues in the direction it's going right now. It's a whole community. It's a empire that we're all trying to build here, and that's what's so exciting about this. Now, here's the difference, to a lot of these other traditional sports. When it comes to esports, the thing is that, yes, a lot of people have their favorite team, or they have their favorite players that play in those particular esports titles. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is, and I think that this is going to, it's going to change over the course of the next years, and this is just my opinion, but, you look at someone like a LeBron James, obviously everybody knows who he is. I believe that some of these esports players who play for certain teams and even specific esports titles, those people are going to be, extremely famous as well, like very well, known throughout the world, whether it's like on a scale of like, oh, a LeBron James, but I feel that it's going to be one of those things where people are going to know who they are. So, for example, guys, everyone knows, someone like a Leonardo DiCaprio, who's, obviously in Hollywood. He's played in some of the best, or acted in some great movies. He's been a part of some great productions. So a lot of people know who he is, right? Now, you would think, okay, a lot of people know who like Tom Holland is. This guy's like a new upcoming guy who's playing the new Spider-Man, and he's in multiple different, Marvel movies now, and then he's also going to be, kind of doing his own thing, and from here on out, he's going to be known in other movies as well, because he was Spider-Man, and that really helped him kick off his career here. Well, that being said, I feel that the same way comes with somebody like, for example, somebody who's well known in the eSports community, or I should say eSports, but in a particular eSports title as Call of Duty, is a guy named Scumpy. Scump is a member of Optic Gaming, and I feel that he's very well known. Obviously, when it comes to the Call of Duty world, everyone knows who he is. I believe that he could be that next, the Tom Holland, but in esports. So I think that esports is going to basically be creating their own. There's going to be obviously like these guys who are going to be like a LeBron James or be like a Tom Holland, and they're going to come out, and it's going to be this very interesting, but at the same time, it's going to be such a monumental moment when this happens, guys. When players in esports are looked at like in comparison to people like a Tom Brady, a LeBron James. And it is coming. I am telling all of you that it is coming. Guys, it's already kind of getting to a point, and I think a lot of traditional sports are starting to catch on here. Let's look at, a little bit of some history here. So, you look at esports, it was kind of people, the laughing stock of sports in general, especially when it went on Stephen Colbert talked about it. Jimmy Kimmel brought up esports, and that was like one of the biggest moments with esports. Was he made so much fun of esports and in professional video gaming, just video gaming in general, and that just exploded from there. And really, guys, what ended up happening was it became the laughing stock of, like sports and just, culture for a while. And then it's turned into like something that people are taking a lot more seriously. And what I mean by more seriously, I'm talking actual traditional esports teams, traditional esports players or former players are getting involved in esports and getting involved in investing in esports. It is a massive movement, guys. This is a movement, and I'm not even talking about the major movement that we have going on with our movement in particular. This is something that when I was building Major, and I'm continuing to try to build Major, it's something where my idea, my vision for it was this movement, but it's also a movement to help build esports and make it grow rapidly and just like to really get it out there to people. Now, obviously, when you grow rapidly, there's always a time where you might kind of be concerned that, is there going to be a crash at some point, and will this end up, will we go into a recession, so to speak, in esports, in the esports world, and will there be like some really bad times? And I do believe that there will be bad times, but I also think that there are going to be great times in esports, and I think as long as we get over the humps, it is going to be so massive. And this is going to be the biggest sport. Esports as a whole is going to be bigger than any one sport out there as far as in the traditional world. So that's what's really exciting to me about about esports. Now, when I mean by different teams that from traditional esports or traditional sports that are getting into esports or investing, the Miami Heat, they invested. Shaquille O'Neal started investing. A lot of NBA teams, owners, and players are getting involved in esports. Now, Alex Rodriguez, he's a baseball player, is getting involved. Rick Fox runs his own team, guys, called Echo Fox, and that's what's crazy, is Rick Fox, he was, I believe, a 5-time NBA champion with the LA Lakers, and he started his own esports organization because he sees the potential of esports as well. So really, all of us together, guys, I believe we're going to push a movement, and we are going to make a massive impression in history. This is not just like something where it's like, oh yeah, there was a year that this was really cool, and then it just kind of was a phase and it went away. That being said, I believe, guys, that if we, mold esports and we kind of mend it in a way where where it can just consistently can grow, whether, that's rapidly or slowly, it's building an empire. And I think that's going to change sports. Traditional sports, it's going to change the game, guys. And no pun intended when I mean like with video games and such, it's going to change the game completely. It's going to change how people look at sports. It's changing. It will change everything. And that's what's so exciting to me about being involved in esports right now, is because I feel like I'm a part of history right now, and that we are we're experiencing something that it's like we were there from the get-go. We were there from the very beginning, from when this was really just starting, and now it's getting to where it is now, and that's so exciting to me. So for example here, I was in I have been in the community when it comes to, just video games in general. Since about 2006 is really, I've been playing video games my entire life, but 2006 was really when I started kind of getting involved. I had gotten my very first Xbox 360, started playing Gears of War, and then playing other games as well. Now we had an original Xbox, and I played like Medal of Honor on that, had played multiple games on just the original Xbox, so I've been playing video games for a lot longer. I really got serious though in 2006, and that's where we started playing, the Xbox 360, started playing multiple other games, and then 2009 is really when I got into Call of Duty, and that's where my life changed, because Call of Duty was really what opened my eyes to this idea, to this possibility of not only, just video games, but also like esports, because I started just seeing like where esports and where video gaming was kind of going, and Call of Duty was exploding because Modern Warfare 2 was just so massive, and we actually got into the trick shotting and sniping side of Call of Duty, which was just like a small portion of what Call of Duty was as a whole. But that was something that was so much fun, and it was such a great time. And that's another reason why bringing back Major was such a huge thing to me, and making this team, as good as I possibly could, and growing the brand and growing the team, and helping others to grow with us, and helping, trying to build a real movement around Major has been just like my vision and my focus, and the focal point of everything that we do here at Major. But I think, guys, that's really what got me into this. And I think each individual person who's been involved in esports, or who's getting involved, whatever the case might be, has some sort of past when it comes to video games, or some sort of past, in a kind of a thought, of an idea, a vision for what esports could possibly be. And that is so exciting, guys, because it means that you're getting a lot of different creative people in the community. You're getting a lot of there's just a lot of action going on, which makes these things so exciting. It makes just esports, it makes all of this feel, it feels surreal, but at the same time it feels like there is so much more growth to be had. And once it happens, it's going to esports will be so massive that people out there, a lot of people now make fun of esports, and they say that it's not real sports, and that it'll never be real sports. But truly, guys, truly, this is something that you have to it's going to gradually click with people. It will gradually get there. It's not just going to happen overnight because it's so new. You look at lacrosse, and a lot of people still, to this day, look at lacrosse and they kind of they say, oh yeah, it's a sport, but a lot of people don't follow it yet. Now, eventually, will lacrosse be one of those sports that tons and tons of people actually follow? I'm sure it will be. Esports, I feel, is the same way. I feel that you have a sport that is, it's obviously right now, it's really clicking with a lot of other people who play video games anywhere between the age of 18 and like 34. That's really like the age bracket. But what happens when it starts to build and it starts to grow to more than that? What happens when you start having, people who are older or younger than those ages and those age brackets? And you start getting people who are really, into this team or that team, or they're into this particular, esports title. And that's where I think it's going to get really exciting and really interesting, is because you're going to have these different, everybody, of course, is going to have their own favorite team, or they're going to have their own, favorite players for those teams. And then there's the specific games. So everything is so specific when it comes to esports. There's so many, different games. There's so many different players within those games. And then, there's just so much that goes on with esports. There's so much to choose from. It's not just, it's just the NFL and they're in the off season right now. And, we're waiting for football to pick back up again. It's not like that. With esports, it's always happening year round. If you're a big Call of Duty person, obviously you're going to have to wait till, the next season of Call of Duty to start back up again. But in the meantime, you can follow all the other things that are going on with that particular organization or that particular team that you like to watch. You can start getting involved in some of the other games that they're representing, like, Smash or, Gears of War or any of these other esports titles. So that's what makes it so much fun and so exciting. See, for me personally, I'm into a lot of different games. I'm into watching a lot of different esports titles and watching players compete at the highest level of play. And that's really, what makes it so, I'm so passionate about it, and I'm so excited just about the future of this. It is a great time, guys, to be a part of esports, to be a part of the gaming community, because it's only growing and it's getting bigger and bigger over time. And that's extremely exciting. It's very exciting. Now, for those of you who are new, who want to, in some way or another want to get involved in esports, honestly, guys, esports is one of those things where it's very open. As far as like, it's very easy to connect with people in esports, unlike, how it is with, traditional sports. Like, say, for example, you really wanted to work for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you had this dream of working for them. And the thing was that you message them on Twitter, or you start trying to message all these different players or managers of the team, whatever the case might be. Most likely you are not going to ever talk to any of those people unless you talk to someone directly, some public email or something along those lines, and then the actual staff will get back to you at some point. Whereas with esports, it's a lot easier to connect with these people. You feel like you have more of a friendship with those people, even though you don't know them. The reason is because of, social media. It's also because of YouTube. A lot of these guys make YouTube videos, so they're always talking to their audience. They're always trying to communicate. And so it's a lot easier to really find the right people. It might take you a little bit some searching, like if you try to, go to, say, one of the bigger teams out there, like let's just say, for example, Optic Gaming. You want to, start talking to Optic Gaming. Most likely, you're not going to be able to probably break in with them because, obviously that's one of the bigger esports teams. Maybe you should start with one of the smaller esports teams and then start trying to contact like the general managers or, even the CEOs or the owners of the team, or even the players. Whoever you need to really contact, guys, that's really important, and that's a really good way of obviously kind of just getting your name out there and just kind of slowly trying to figure out what it is that you want to do in esports. And that's very important, is really figuring out, first of all, what do you want to do in esports? do you want to be a videographer? Do you want to do you want to work for, a specific company? Do you want to work for an actual organization? Do you want to run your own organization? See, for me, guys, personally, I worked with multiple different teams over the course, of time since around 2009. Worked with multiple teams, and started, a couple of teams as well. And then I got to a point where I decided, after joining different teams as a content creator or a lead content creator, or a director, I decided, you know what, I want to just run my own organization and run it to the best of my ability, and really help other people grow and grow with my organization. And that's where Major came in. So really, guys, I mean, I think a lot of it is trial and error. You start into the industry, you start talking to some people, you get maybe an opportunity in a smaller organization or a part of like a small, league out there that's hosting tournaments or whatever the case might be. It's a stepping stone to getting you to where you want to be, which it might just be that, or it might be you actually want to work your way up to a chief operating officer of a decently sized organization. Whatever it is, guys, that you really want to do, you can do. And all you got to do, though, is just be really persistent, and you just got to be, consistent about what you're trying to do. Have a vision in your mind of what it is that you want to do, and go after it. Really go after it. Because a lot of these esports organizations, at least I can definitely speak for Major, we are looking for the next up-and-coming people when it comes to just esports and gaming in general. We are looking for the up-and-comers, the people who really are hungry for success and really want to be a part of like a management side of an organization. We are looking for the next really good, up-and-coming Call of Duty players who are going to like really do amazing with the next Call of Duty title, or the next, Gears of War title, or the next Gears of War update, or whatever it is, guys. We are always looking, and we are looking for those next best people. And that is something that's really important. We're looking for those passionate people, and that's why with Major, I want to have multiple different opportunities that you can get involved in Major. And that's why when I say I want to start a movement, it's more than just, it's more than just, connecting with fans and such. It's a lot more than that. It's about really creating a community, I think. And I look at a team like Optic Gaming, and they've really created a great community around, the green wall. And that's what they go by. They really wanted to create this community. And that's what I want with Major, is to create this community, create a movement where it's not only to build Major, but it's also to build esports. That is the goal, guys. The goal is, let's make esports so big that the rest of the world has to accept that esports is a sport. And that, guys, is the day where we will all be able to sit back and say that we fucking made it, because we did what no one else thought you really could. And we took something that a lot of people thought was pure laziness and a waste of time, and we turned it into careers. That is where esports and all of this is heading in that direction. We just have to, like I said, we have to kind of tend to the most important things and the core values of what esports was built on. It was not only built on really, fan engagement and all of that, but it was built on pure passion. It was not built as business at first. It was built as just pure passion of, a bunch of young kids who really enjoyed playing video games and thought to themselves that maybe one day it could become something much bigger than this. And that is what exactly happened, guys. It just became so much bigger because a group of people, or I should really just say a nation of people, basically decided that they wanted to do more with it and believe that that this had legs, that this could stand the course of time, and it has, guys, and it continues to do it every single day. And I'm really excited about the future. I'm not only excited about the future of Major, I'm very excited about the future of esports. Where could this go, guys? Where are we headed? I know it's, a lot of people like wonder all the time, like, is there going to be a crash? Is there, is this just going to be something that is going to end up being a phase because it's not a traditional sport? Guys, we are creating a sport in and of itself right now as we speak, and we're building it every single day, creating content, just spreading the word about esports and just, getting other people, your friends involved. Everything like that helps build esports. It raises awareness for what we are trying to do, the mission that we have, and that is to grow esports and, make careers for multiple people, guys, and create, a new industry and really make history is essentially what the goal is for esports. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this this podcast. And, I hope that, if you guys have any questions, I really hope you guys reach out to me and just ask me, and I'll try to respond to as many of you as I possibly can just about, esports and about, the future esports and where I think things are going. That's really, it is very important, guys. It really is. So I hope you guys did enjoy this podcast, and I will see you guys next week. If you guys did enjoy the video, please leave a thumbs up, subscribe for news, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.